you started off on a track, something like Swades, Shah Rukh Khan of Swades, and then you came in and disrupted a different.
Based out of villages in Tamil Nadu, in Viluppuram district, a farmer had to spend a week just to obtain a no objection certificate from all the bank branches that are there in a 10-kilometer radius. The consent aspect of it was still pending. And that's where my co-founder, Abhinav used to be with Flipkart, went ahead and pitched to quite a few banks, telcos, obviously no takers. We were like rejected left, right, and center.
Hope that Nitin and Karthik are not hearing this.
Digital signing application. We are doing 16 million documents that gets digitally signed on our application per year. This last financial year ending March 31st, we are already at a MAT of 8 crores. And
hi everyone, my name is Amit. This is a new series that I've started connecting with some of the influential people, some of the people who are doing some great work in the startup investor ecosystem, and trying to get some insights from them. The lockdown has certainly pushed everyone to, pick up some of their old, resolutions, I would say. But then, this is something which obviously comes naturally to me, and I being in the focal point of a lot of startup and investor related activities at IBCA, I think it makes sense to also engage and share some insights to whatever extent we can. So on that note, I'd like to introduce you to Sanket from Digio, who's one of the founders at Digio, and Sanket is doing some really brilliant stuff. Discussing a complete, I would say, a parallel. And over to you, Sanket, if you can just quickly give a brief about you and Digio and how you landed up with this idea.
Right. So, hi Amit, pleasure to interact with you. So, we started Digio in April 2016, right? So, yeah, it's been more than 4 years now since we incorporated the company. So prior to Digio, I was part of early team of multiple startups. Right from when I moved back to India, it was India's first private space company called Earth to Orbit, which was then one of our investors and directors was Karthik.
Yeah, so, sorry to interrupt. Just one more thing. I'd like you to. You started off on a track, something like Swades, Shah Rukh Khan of Swades, and then you came in and disrupted a different vertical altogether. If you can just throw some light there also, I think that.
Sure. So I have a varied educational background. Like my undergraduate is in architecture. I worked as an architect for a couple of years, and parallelly I was doing my research at Indian Institute of Science. And because I wanted to get into the not really aerospace, but the space industry abroad. So I went on to do my master's in astronautical engineering from USC in LA. I was part of the PhD program, but after the master's, I decided to drop out of the PhD program, and rather the university funded me to go on and do my second master's in space physics, space science in France, in Strasbourg, France. So I went on to do my second master's at International Space University in Strasbourg. Post that, I was working with Johnson Space Center as a contractor for a few months when I got an opportunity for one of the colleagues, senior colleagues from the same research group. I was part of Human Adaptation and Countermeasures Division. So Sushmita was one of my senior colleagues at QuizX, Boeing, and NASA. She was moving back to India to start this company called Earth to Orbit, which was India's first private space company at that point. And the whole model was about aggregating satellite demand from international markets, be it US, Japan, all these countries, and launching it on board PSLV, right? So, yeah, so we started that company. We partnered with Antrix Corporation, which is the commercial arm of ISRO. And we got quite a few contracts. We in fact launched a Japanese satellite called Proteus also. It's a small satellite. And at that point of time, the entire Indo-US nuclear deal fell through. And it obviously had its own ramifications on trade and so the regulations, right? International regulations.
Right.
So one of the largest contracts to launch a constellation of satellites from a client called Skybox Imaging, which eventually got acquired by Google. So we had a contract of for launching almost, if I remember correctly, 60 odd satellites.
Wow.
That deal fell through. So it really became unsustainable at that point of time because in the space industry, the revenue cycles are really high, right? The money is good, but the revenue cycles span anywhere between 3 to 5 years minimum. And so at that point of time, I decided to move on, even though I was one of the founding team members. And Karthik had actually invested in our company at that point of time. So Karthik, the founder of Blume.
Oh,
so,
wow.
Yeah.
Fantastic. Small world.
Yeah, this was back in 2009. So then I was asked to join the erstwhile CEO of Highmark Credit Bureau. That point of time, it used to be Highmark. Highmark was the only startup that had received the license to operate as a credit bureau in India. Rest three were multinationals, right? Civil, TransUnion, then Experian and Equifax. So Highmark was the only startup founded by Professor Anil Pandey, and the CEO was Siddharth Das. So I was asked by Siddharth to head the BD for banks and NBFCs, right? And when I had joined, in fact, I remember we still had not received the final RBI license. So we were like few people, 10, 15 odd people. And yeah, so spent a couple of years there, scaled up the company. All of us, like the early team, Siddharth, Sridhar, Kiran, who founded this renewable LED lighting company, which was acquired by Havells, right? Prompt Renewables. So Kiran was also part of the team too. Me, so Sachin. So yeah, we scaled up the company to almost 400 odd people, and in fact, we were the first to launch the India's first microfinance bureau because of the entire thing around the turmoil that was happening in Andhra Pradesh at that point of time because of over leveraging in the microfinance industry. Yeah, so finally we moved on. At that point of time, Highmark was obviously in talks with a couple of players for acquisition, and eventually CRIF, which is an Italian credit bureau, one of the largest European credit bureaus, CRIF acquired Highmark, and now it is known as CRIF Highmark. So yeah, post that I joined the starting team, like early team member at a startup called ZipDial, right? The missed call company. So in fact, we were the guys to start this entire concept. And yes,
You should have put that on record.
Sorry?
You should not put that on record. I guess, the missed calls went a far, far way from there. I think it became a verb, especially, back in college and, even in the close circles, official staff everywhere.
Yeah, and hats off to Sanjay, Valerie, and Amia. They transformed a consumer cheat into a business, right? So yeah, started with football scores, then cricket scores, like just give a missed call to get the score. And then we actually built a platform on top of it, a marketing brand to consumer engagement platform, the entire offline, online communication. We bridged that gap, and I was heading operations there as director of operations for four years, and eventually got acquired by Twitter. I spent a year with Twitter as a senior product manager for their growth markets, and then I had that think of starting up something. And documentation was a area where, like, I had that personal frustration, right? Like, because it did not seem logical. And since I had come from the bureau background and worked with banks, NBFCs, MFIs, I'd seen this problem ground up, right? Like in the real world. I still remember days when I used to be based out of villages in Tamil Nadu, in Viluppuram district. A farmer had to spend a week just to obtain a no objection certificate from all the bank branches that are there in a 10-kilometer radius. So that that's what stuck with me. And when I was actually moving houses after Twitter, I faced problems like, I mean, my identity is not changing, but still I have to submit my address proof to each of my service providers, be it bank, be it my credit card provider, be it my telco, my ISP. So why can't there be a single place from where I can just put in my like updated documents, and it can be broadcasted to all my trusted service providers? Or if I'm applying for a new service, with my consent, the same can be fetched. With so that was the whole concept which I had started building, and even though I'm an engineer, I'm not a computer science person. So I learned coding over a few months. Hacked a prototype, like a working prototype, shitty code, really bad quality code, but it was working. And I had built something like exactly like what you see today as DigiLocker, the central government project.
So I guess
right?
if we were to summarize this, basically, there is a pain point, and you basically live with that pain point. I guess you face that problem not just for yourself but for the others. I guess that's where you got the feeling from, and then
Absolutely.
you sort of really stepped out of your way to solve that problem and do whatever it takes. I think first drafts, be it brilliant authors or whoever, I think first drafts are always first drafts. But even if you got that I mean, if you got that inspiration to really pull that out together, I think it's really inspiring. Yeah, over to you again.
So what I built as part of the functioning working prototype was a way where you can actually upload all your ID documents, ID, address proof, any supporting documents like your bank statements or anything, and it is there in your personal account. And you can add your service providers like, say, Airtel or HDFC Bank, and then broadcast it. And similarly, someone can fetch it. Think of exactly like a Google Drive. Best example today is DigiLocker, right? And I actually went ahead and showed this to my ex-colleagues like Amia, Rajat, all these guys. And people were like, okay, this is great, but this does not address the entire problem. And I was aware of it because these documents also need to be verified, authorized. So this is a large problem. The reason why paper exists today is because paper is a medium to capture content, and also paper is a medium to capture consent. So while I had solved the content aspect of it, pending the verification, the consent aspect of it was still pending. And that's where my co-founder, Abhinav used to be with Flipkart. He was, in fact, leading the tech for eCart, the logistics platform at Flipkart. And he had already quit his job and was building a digital signing application using Aadhaar. And that's what his idea was, right? How can people digitally sign documents? And he had approached Amia, who's a co-founder of Zipdial, for some seed funding at that point of time. And Amia told him that, okay, why don't you meet Sanket? He's also working in the same space and addressing the similar problem. And if you guys can see working together, and your skill sets definitely complement, I can definitely look at getting a check. Right? So that's what the entire thing. So we met, and this was sometime in Jan 2016, late Jan of 2016. So we met, did a lot of brainstorming, broke down the entire complex problem into smaller bits, and thought that, okay, it's a very, very complex problem to solve. So let's be realistic about it, and let's start with pieces, like one piece together, right? Like say, let's start with the digital signing thing, and then get into documents, KYC, all those, like entire suite. So yes, April 2016, we incorporated the company, and I went ahead and since I was managing the business part aspect, went ahead and pitched to quite a few banks, telcos, obviously no takers. We were like rejected left, right, and center. Yeah, and we made some changes, and then and at this point of time, it was a very, very scrappy looking product, just on as a web application.
What will we say was the turning point of all of these pitches? I guess one was obviously when you guys met Zerodha. I guess apart from that, I guess from a customer centered, from a business centered point of view, what was the one big thing that you changed, and then that created an impact?
So this actually happened. Two things, right? One was we quickly realized, I think within a week, we realized that unlike, say, for example, DocuSign, which is till date, like till now, at least a year back, it was people were more using it purely as a front-end application, right? A web or a mobile application. So what we quickly realized was this is not going to work in India. People want things to be integrated with their customer journeys and everything. So we immediately shipped our APIs and SDK, which can be integrated exactly like how a payment gateway could be integrated to any application, right? So we call that signing gateway. So yes, that was the first. Second, what we also realized was, since all this is built, end of the day, it is built on, there are two layers to it. One is a completely government infrastructure, like your UIDI. And second is a pseudo public infrastructure like NSDL or CDAC, all this, right? And this infrastructure is actually very difficult to integrate with and maintain purely from a tech point of view, because it's not only technology, it's not only DevOps, like you need to invest in to maintain all this. You also have to take care of the compliance aspect of it. So what we did was, we said that, okay, we will be the application which will abstract out this technology maintenance as well as the compliance aspect of it, so that the business which is integrating with us does not have to care about any of these overheads. I think these two things actually turned the game for us. And what we did really well was, initially when you start, like you are basically trying everywhere, right? Then we focused. Like I remember we created this Excel sheet which has like 150 odd use cases, and we did a use case mapping and metric saying that, okay, which is the industry, and which in that industry, what is that use case which has the maximum pain today as far as this document signing and everything is concerned. And it happened to be opening a demat or trading account. 30 odd places you have to sign. It used to take like 10-15 odd days.
Next serendipity happened.
Yeah. So, and at that point of time, frankly, like I still have I don't trade or like I'm at least out of the capital markets for quite some time. But I had
hope that Nitin and Karthik are not hearing this.
So I still have my HDFC account, right, for investing, and I had not heard about Zerodha. So one of my ex-colleagues, Ranjit, he actually pinged me, is like, why don't you open an account with Zerodha and move all your things from HDFC to Zerodha? It's like, why should I do that, right? And it's like, go have a look. So I opened their website, and I didn't know Nitin. I just sent him a message on LinkedIn. and he was kind enough to give me a 15-minute slot for a quick meeting. Went to the Zerodha office in JP Nagar. I gave them the demo. So Kailash, was the CTO, was also part of it. And I think Nitin had called almost everyone, all the stakeholders, to see the demo. And that point of time, we did not even have the license. We were still in pre-production. We did not have the license for production go live. And luckily, we had by then 10 paying customers in terms of commitment. Like they had already purchased a plan, and the moment we had the production license, the revenue would have kicked in. So Nitin saw the product and he was like, "This is good." So Kailash at that very moment said that, "Okay, the APIs are great, and this is really quick integration. In fact, the integration ideally should not take you more than 30 minutes. So it's that quick, right? So 30 minutes, you get API access, integrate, and you are live." But
Wow.
Zerodha at that point in time had actually already given something around 25 or 27 lakh rupees of non-refundable deposit to one of our erstwhile competitors. I won't name them, but yeah,
Sure.
that was the case. So yeah, I was like really heartbroken.
You did not just eat your competition, but you also got funded from one of your clients. That's what happened.
So yes, so but and when I actually saw, and this is the feedback that I was actually getting from the industry, because this ex-competitor of ours had this thing of giving non-refundable deposits, also sometimes amounting to 1.5 crore rupees just for onboarding, and that is non-refundable. So lot of large financial institutions in India used to use them earlier. So, and still waiting for months or even 1.5 years just to go live. So
would you be willing to share some of the some of the insights of your growth in that sense once you got in together with Zerodha?
Right.
What was the growth trajectory like? What are the numbers that you have? I mean, if you can, some ballpark, if you know.
Sure. So, and this was sometime, and obviously, Zerodha went live in March 2019. March 2017. So I met that team sometime in August, end of August, September, early September 2016. But they went live in March 2017 because they were also revamping their entire digital onboarding platform, right? So after Zerodha went live, obviously we started getting eyeballs, right? In the industry. By that time, we also had again direct customers. We used to do anything to get customers, right? So we did a lot of on-premise deployments at that point of time. So we got ICICI Bank, we got LIC, but all this were not really, SaaS applications, like on-premise deployment, just to gain that trust in the industry at that point of time. So yeah, after Zerodha went live, so I think year one was 2017. 18 was our first year of business, and we had something around 15 odd customers, like not significant revenue. And then this entire GST thing happened. So GST had that thing around, like you have to digitally sign the returns and everything. So there we got a lot of customers who were looking at this GST, the GSPs and all that. Yeah. But that also did not scale well because the technical specs changed randomly, and like a lot of things happened. So I would say the inflection point actually came sometime in 2018 when we got quite a few NBFCs, a lot of fintechs. Like earlier, we had a few fintechs like Crazy Bee, Reddy. All these were early customers. easy credit, but not really the scale was definitely not great at that point of time. But eventually, all this crazy has scaled like anything, right? So 2018, I would say, when we scaled really well, like 100 and something, 50 odd customers. Now we have 230 odd customers, and it also translated in real good revenue and profit, right? I think last to last financial year. So we just completed our third year of business, right? We have been profitable. Last to last financial year, we closed at a net profit of what, 2.3 crores, like profit after tax. Wow. And this last financial year ending March 31st, we are already at a MAT of 8 crores. And so
I think that's nice for a scientist kind of a guy to build business and make a decent amount of it. Plus, I think the impact is phenomenal, and I'm sure the kind of ease of operations for these businesses also. I'm sure you won so many hearts through these clients. It's not just about making money, and clients of clients. I guess it went far as that, I presume. So, I mean, some of the interesting feedbacks or testimonials that you've received, something, if you could like to share some of the interesting stuff like that.
Yeah. So always it has been around so we have gotten customers via word of mouth, or say, for example, the chief digital officer of a large NBFC or a bank has probably opened an account on Zerodha or Upstocks or Motilal Oswal and seen Digio and the entire seamless process, and then asked his team to get in touch with us, or consulting companies like BCG or McKinsey to get in touch with us to evaluate the product. And so those actually have served like lead channels for us. And I think the biggest testimonial is this key stakeholders using our product in their application after experiencing it as an end consumer, right? So today, for example, in the entire broking industry, I think Zerodha, Upstocks, Motilal Oswal, HDFC Securities, Axis Securities, iFast, like you name the broking entity, they use us. Similarly, large financial institutions like L&D Finance, Hero FinCorp, Karur Vaishya Bank, Karnataka Bank, all these organizations where a digital transformation has happened, they are using our products, and across products, right? So, and today, if I'm just looking at our digital signing application, we are doing 16 million documents that gets digitally signed on our application per year.
That's
and still we haven't touched the public sector or government.
Fantastic. I think those are really, wonderful numbers. So, I mean, saying, just thinking of which I'm thinking, so for example, things like GST and, some other measures that the government took, in the last 4 or 5 years, how did that impact your business, or did that help boost, the sort of the ecosystem that is building around your, around what Zerodha is building or you are building? How big is the role of government in that sense?
So definitely at a policy level, right? Like there is an impetus, there is a push from by government to make things go digital. With demonetization, well, the signal was there. It was more around cashless. So we really did not benefit from that. But obviously the macro signals were definitely there from government side. And I think initiatives like Aadhaar, like UPI, which is from NPCI, obviously, but the government has a significant role to play in promoting all this, right? DigiLocker, the digitization of land records, your caste certificate, whatever, like income certificates. A lot of these documents today are digitally available in verifiable format on DigiLocker, directly pushed by the issuing authorities. So all these macros definitely help in making the entire process go digital. And obviously there is like once someone experiences online way of doing things, is never going back to physical documentation and all that,
Of
right?
course,
So
yes.
Government and specifically the India Stack team, the iceberg team, has been a big supporter and catalyst in helping move things in the industry by conducting seminars, by workshops, promoting all this, the entire India Stack. Yes, there was uh, confusion and the blip in the industry because of how people were using Aadhaar and UIDI infrastructure in a like not the recommended way. So we have always kept clear of where we should draw the line, right? And yes, we have lost business because of that.
That's brilliant, I guess, and a shout to our friend Amit Ranjan, who came from the startup world and built this DigiLocker. I think that's some brilliant mind going in there, building that thing, which sort of supports the overall ecosystem in a beautiful way. So, I mean, as we come to an end, Sanket, are you currently trying to raise funds, or would you be looking to raise funds in future?
So just before that, I just spoke about our digital signing application. So today we also have the 60% of all the electronic mandates that get processed by NPCI are from Digio, right? So from large NBFC to so it's a complete recurring payment collection application end to end with physical mandate, electronic mandates, Aadhaar e-sign based mandate, your ACH debits, complete automation. And we have 9 partner sponsor banks that we work with. And so right from generation of a document to signing it to collecting the payment, be it a SIP to loan EMI to an insurance premium, all this is stitched together into a single platform right now. So also to KYC.
From one use case to, I think, we expanded the portfolio pretty much. Sort of, a big umbrella right now that comes under Digio. That is
so, right now we are obviously profitable, and we do not have any immediate plans of raising funds. We are definitely investing hard on growing the tech team. Since now, we have to relook at what are the things where we really need to invest in terms of scaling up. Right now we are pretty much operating at scale, but still, how can we make things more seamless, both in terms of experience, from a tech integration point of view, also from an end user point of view. We are also launching in few international markets. We'll be running some pilots very soon in international markets, but immediate fundraising plans are definitely not there. But yes, we maybe in a quarter or so we will have a clearer picture.
Got it. I think that's a lot of data points also. I mean, thanks to you for sharing some of those teeny meeny miny insights. Not just around the background and specifically the numbers, but also the whole journey and the whole step by step learnings and processes that you guys built. And I would really be keen to have a glance at that cheat sheet of 130 use cases that you built. I think that, I mean, the kind of energy that went in there, I can imagine. I mean, obviously, it's not a joke to build a business from a scratch to where it is now. And I'm sure a lot of these things, a lot of this energy is. So how comes, you've been a long way now. So what's your, plan for the future apart from obviously, growing this? What do you like doing right now? I mean, from where you started from, how things have changed?
So obviously, definitely, I still focus on sales. Sales is something that I love doing, right? And looking at the product, sales, speaking to customers, and seeing where things can be tweaked a bit to move certain metrics. But aside to work, obviously, I am also pursuing my interests like in gardening or cooking. You must have seen on Twitter.
Yes, that we can see. Your gardening we
A lot
can
of
see right now also.
yeah. I use this as my Zoom background.
That is brilliant. In fact, we see a lot of gardening here also. I guess the lockdown effect that has pushed you. But I think, I mean, jokes apart, I mean, this the kind of inputs that you've given. I see a lot of these you know experiences that people share on Twitter. But I think, this whole conversation, if I break it down, in sort of thousands of tweets, I guess, this is a lot of tangible, wisdom, experience, anecdotes that can, go out to the aspiring entrepreneurs also. I guess, this is really the kind of stuff that, sort of inspires me also, being around investors and startups. This is what I believe is the best part. And I think that is really brilliant. So any closing thoughts that you'd like to leave us, Sanket? Some of your inspiration, some of your, I don't know, I mean, if we can take back that energy, that zeal of, a bit of what that inspiration from you, what could it be?
So one of the things that I have always believed in, like I look at business at very, very basic fundamental level. Okay, revenue should come in. You should make profits. If you are not doing that, then something is wrong. Like I'm a very Dhandha focused person. Like
I think as it
so,
should be. I think I
so that's one, and be super obsessed with your customers. Like customers, end users. You could be doing a direct to consumer business, uh, like if when I cook, if when someone is eating it, I continuously keep asking for feedback, like is everything okay, any feedback, anything, like, so yeah.
It's a very basic yet brilliant analogy, I would say, especially, obviously in lockdown, everyone's cooking and sweeping. So I also constantly
No,
take feedbacks on all these things.
I used to cook almost every day, right? So since I love cooking, and hence I always go down to the basics of, okay, are you getting feedback, taking feedback on the final output or not? So yeah.
Wow, I guess similar. I think, it's a great analogy, I think, and I think we'll leave it at that. Thank you so much, Sanket. I think it was a brilliant conversation with you. And I'm sure, like I said, a lot of this, can be drawn down to so many tangible, observations, insights, learning that we've got from your end. And then, currently your video also has a kind of a halo around your head, kind of the sunlight is showering eyes, Anyways, thank you, man. Thank you so much. Thank you for giving this, sparing this time. And I'm sure, this inspiration will go back to a lot of these people. And so any way that, if anyone wants to reach out to you, what would be the best way of communicating you for our
Twitter.
listeners?
Any day Twitter.
Fantastic, fantastic. All right, thank you so much, Sanket. On that note, I'll just say a bit of goodbye to you and to our listeners. Thank you so much.